Testing 1, 2, 3. Got the audio on. Are we live? Good morning. Good morning. I think we are live. I almost did not stream today. I had body aches all night long and a fever, and I haven't been feeling good the last day or so. I still don't feel great, but I figured, you know what? I'll come in here and I guess stream anyway, see how it goes, and I probably won't talk a whole lot today. We'll see. I'm going to share the link in the group. All right. So let's see what we have going on here today. We have NQ pulled up. It looks like on the hourly, we've been in a nice steady uptrend. Delta still above that confirmation line and flat along the top. So our hourly is going to be bullish. Our 15-minute also bullish. That delta is stuck and flat along the top. That is like sustained uptrend territory. Go ahead and flip that to bullish. Oops. Bullish. There we go. And on the 5-minute, we've been in a nice steady uptrend on the 5 as well. So we are bullish over there. We are full bull across the board. Shandiz, Benek, good morning. Hasn't been a great morning for myself. I've been kind of sick lately. Had body aches all night long, so I wasn't going to stream today, but here we are. Figured I might as well power through and see if we can get some trades on. I have to fly out tomorrow to Toronto, so I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow or Friday. So today will be the last day this week. So we've been in this uptrend, but so far it's just been one of those kind of grindy, choppy uptrends, which are not my favorite. If you look here at this tick up from the power zone that happened at 6:59 a.m. So we got this little, I don't know if you guys can, yeah, you guys can see both of those on there. So we got this little signal on this new indicator here. We got the tick up from the power zone. We also printed a little red down here on the RTI. That's another Zeiierman indicator. I used to use the RTI a lot, and I loved it, and I haven't used it in a long time, so I decided to throw it back on here just to see how it coincides with what I've been doing lately. But if you look at this, do you see how it's all kind of green and stuck up here? The first time it prints like a red after like a sustained uptrend like that, it's usually a pretty good trade. At least it has been in the past. And we got that tick up from the power zone. So had I been awake at that time, could enter there, exit on a tick down from the upper power zone. But if you wanted to push it, until the delta closes underneath the confirmation line, then that's kind of the way to look at these choppy trends. Is you can use that to act as a little bit of a filter. So, you know, once you start closing under that confirmation line, you could just ride it all the way through. It's kind of hard to stomach that, though, because if you're not in a sustained uptrend, then it could come back to bite you and tag you at your break even. It happens to me quite a bit. You never really know what the market's going to do. So I thought today I would probably try to if we're going to have a lot of chop like we've been having lately. I've been thinking about potentially just taking signals in the power zones and maybe ignoring everything else. Depends on how it looks, though, so we'll see. JWAS, good morning. Nice to see you here. Got about 8 minutes until the market open. We do have the signal down and flirting with that lower power zone there. JWAS, NQ is strong 4-hour green Heikin-Ashi candles, strong uptrend. Yeah, I can see that on the deltas. I can also see it on this RTI. I don't know if you're here when I was talking about the RTI, but I used to use the RTI a lot, and I loved it. That's the relative strength, or wait, the relative strength index, is that what that's called? Relative trend index, that's what it is. Yeah, not relative strength, that's RSI. Never mind. So just because we've been strong and green all night long does not mean that we're going to continue at the open here. Green, a lot of times it'll push it one way all night long, and then at the open it reverses. So it's almost like at the open you almost have to ignore everything else that it was doing all night long. It's almost like the start of a new session in a way. But we'll see. I'm going to try to, like I said, focus on these power zones a little bit more today. And this other indicator is signaling like that when this pops up on this other indicator, you're supposed to go long, as long as that line is green. So what I've been thinking about doing, what seems to work pretty well, is wait for that signal, then enter on the tick up on the signal line. So if you do that, it acts as a little bit of a filter. So if we get a tick up here, I'm probably going to go long. I'm assuming that's going to happen before the open here. I would like to see the delta tapering a little bit, though, if we do. Got about 5 minutes until the open. We're starting to flash that tick up. You know, the ATR is fairly low this morning. I'm sitting at a 22. That's kind of like my minimum for trading. If we get under that, it's just the moves aren't big enough to make it worth it. Still pushing down. Now see if I entered long on the start of this new indicator, I would have been long up here. So waiting for that next tick up looks to be essential for that. Still pushing down. Look at this. Delta candles are getting fatter too. Back down there to the 200. You just gonna dump it here or what? All right, we're starting to flash that tick up. Two minutes before the open. I think I'm gonna go long here. I am long on the close of that candle at 430.50. There we go. Man, it's really pushing down though, isn't it? Open in about 30 seconds. See, usually at the open, they'll push it one way, and then right at the open, they'll throw it the other direction. So now that we've been pushing down, it makes me feel like we're going to push up here. But it is pushing down pretty aggressively, so I don't know. Maybe today's a little different. And I'm out. Look at that. Okay. So, the last few days I've been telling you guys I was going to trade a little bit more aggressively right there before the open. Well, today's the day I get burned trying to do it. That's all right. We'll get it back. That ATR is starting to tick up here. We're at like a 34 now. So, might have just been a little early on this one. That signal line is still ticked up. In case you're wondering, that was my 80 tick stop. So 20 points. Remember what I said about if it's pushing one way all night long, it usually likes to reverse it. So I wouldn't be surprised if ultimately we reverse here into a downtrend. Man, it's pushing hard. Looks like we're going to go visit VWAP. That's the blue line down there. Starting to print a higher low in that power zone. Flashing it anyways. But it looks like we're going to go visit VWAP. Let's see where the session VWAP is. That's the orange line right here. So the session I have set to start at 7 a.m. So that's where that, it's basically an anchored VWAP on the 7 a.m. candle. Usually works really good. So we're kind of stuck in between the session VWAP and the regular VWAP. We did print that higher low. That's some bullish divergence there. But we're so close to that VWAP. Makes me think that we're going to go hit that. Potentially. Now, if I waited for the higher low, that would have been this candle. The green triangle right here. And that one would have worked. So it looks like I was just too early on that one. Jawaz, you went long on the first tick up and you're still in. So you must have had a giant stop on there. You must have balls of steel. It's hard for me to stomach more than an 80 tick stop. So we had this delta tapering and now we're growing it again. That doesn't look good for the bulls. This is starting to look like a impulsive breakout entry to the downside. We're ticking down underneath those delta candles that are getting thicker. We do seem to be pushing down pretty hard. Did we look at news yet today? I don't think we looked at news. Let's check out news really quick. Oops. There we go. News. We got final services PMI at 8:45. That is in 10 minutes. As for other high impact news, there's our final services PMI. That's a medium impact. At 9, we have ISM services PMI. That's a high impact. And Fed Chair Powell speaks at 12:45. Other than that, not a whole lot going on. Unemployment's tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. So we might kind of chop here for the next 10 minutes till 8:45 or 9. The 9 is the higher impact one. So JWAS, did you see that trade that I sent you at the end of the day there from yesterday? I was really red on the day, and then I put in one last trade there at the end of the day. My wife went to go get the kids, and actually put me green on the whole day. Let me go back there and look at that one. Where is it? There it is. That was this second tick up from the bottom. That was at 244. Ended up being the best trade of the whole day. Went for 74 points. And I was down like 62 or 63. So barely made it green for the day after that, but I got there. Yeah, there still seems to be a lot of downward selling pressure here. That delta just keeps getting thicker and falling. It's kind of a choppy fall, though, isn't it? It's the thing about the New York Open is that the candles will look fairly smooth, and then right at the open will turn into a little rat's nest. So I always go back and forth of whether or not I should even trade the open. It's like the days I don't, I regret not doing it, and then the days that I do, like today, I get burned. But I've always thought about whether I should be better off if I just waited for everything to kind of smooth out, wait for, like, don't trade the first hour, come in at 9:30 or so, like when the signals are a little bit more reliable, and start there. But I've tried that before too, and every time I've done that, I've always regretted like not taking the signals during the first hour. So it's always a trade-off. That's part of trading, right? There's pros and cons every day. Every day it's different. There we are at that VWAP. So can we use VWAP as a springboard now? This new indicator, the line's starting to turn negative now, so it's telling us we're in a negative trend. The RTI is starting to get more negative, and once this gets down here, it likes to kind of stay down for the most part, from what I remember using it. See how, like this, it's just been like these green clouds the whole time. The first little dip, it's usually a good long, and then now we're swimming down here. So JWAS says they could dump and take all the liquidity. Yeah, they could. I kind of had a feeling that they're going to try to reverse it today. Just see news that United Healthcare CEO fatally shot in Midtown Manhattan. Crazy. I used to work for United Healthcare. Well, not directly. I worked for a company called Accenture, which is, I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's a big consulting firm. And one of our clients was United Healthcare. So I was on a bunch of projects over there a long time ago. Just put in our second high or low on the signal line. And with the VWAP right there, I'm kind of tempted to go long here. Another thing we can do is wait for the 5-minute to show a tick up from that lower power zone and then wait for the next 1-minute setup. That might be a little safer to do that. Starting to flash a little tick up on the 5-minute. My computer fan is just screaming right now. Can you guys hear that? I have a MacBook Pro off to my right, and I don't know why, but every once in a while, the fan just goes absolutely crazy on that thing. I don't know what it's trying to process, but it's trying to do something. Well, we got our Delta Cross down here. We also got to close above the 8 SMA. We've been kind of chopping it on the way down, though, so going for more of a aggressive early entry. I have a limit order down on the 8. It's a fan of what you're doing. Jay was the jokester. Okay, I think it's the news we've been waiting for. I can see the spread is like going like this right now on Quantower. So that news is coming in here. 8:45. So you can't really see that very well in TradingView. Like the candles in TradingView, you can see them update, but they don't update like very fast. In Quantower, the candles are like always jumping around, and I mean you could see like every little thing going on. I feel like the detail is just it's a lot better inside Quantower. And I have the spread lines right there on the candle. So, well, I'm doing this, but it's really like this. So when the spread's tight, those lines are together, and then right before news comes out, you can see those lines, they widen like this. And when they get really wide, I know like you do not want to jump in a trade when they're wide like that. You're going to get horrible fills. So I canceled my order on the 8. Spread's back together now, though, so that one was just temporary. Usually it doesn't last very long. But it looks like it's going to probably do that again at 9 o'clock. We did get that tick up on the 5. So it is official. At 8:40, we ticked up on the 5. Delta was tapering when it ticked up. So on the 1, the next tick up should be a good long, as long as the 5 is still ticked up like that. If it gives us one. Sometimes it doesn't do that. Sometimes it just V-bottoms out of here. You see that 8 SMA? Right there's a really good entry on the 8. Wicks down. This is also a good entry. That's where I tried to get filled, was right here. But I got my order in too late. I should have got my order in right at the close of this candle. So the first time it closes above the 8, get your limit order right on the 8. That's what I try to do, and those entries always end up being the best. That's talked about in the playbook. But I was waiting for more of one of these where the signal comes down above that delta and ticks up. That's what I was waiting for. Didn't give us that. Not yet, anyway. My daughter stayed home from school today, too. She's not feeling very well. She's still in bed. So she might, well, when she gets up, she's probably going to come over here and attack me or something. The ATR value is at a 54 right now, so that's kind of, it's right where I like to see it. Anywhere from like 25, 30 to 70 is kind of the sweet spot for me. You start to get above 70 and it's really easy to get wicked out unless you really increase the size of your stop. Not the size of your position. You want to size down your position when it's like that. Size up your stop, size down your position. Back down to that 8 SMA. Can it hold? We're also above that session VWAP now. The anchored VWAP. Right there. Probably another good long entry right there. So I got the 5-minute marked as bullish. However, it's more of a neutral right now. Where's my 5? Neutral. The reason why I say that is because the delta is under the confirmation line, and the confirmation line currently has a negative slope to it. So, I mean, technically we're bearish. We should be looking for short setups in this scenario. But on the 1 minute, you can still take longs in here and still be profitable on those. You're ticking down from that upper power zone. Kind of a weird spot because the delta is right smack dab in the middle of the indicator. So, do you take that short? It is a short entry if the delta is under the confirmation line, technically. That delta doesn't look like it's getting very thin, though. And we did bounce on VWAP, which gives me more of a bullish bias here, so I'm still kind of waiting for a long entry. News in 5 minutes. Yeah, I really wanted to go long in this area down here, but I was waiting for more of a clean setup here, which I didn't really get. You know, I tried to go in on the 8 there, but I canceled my order because that news had the spread getting super wide, so I guess we just have to wait a little bit longer. Got that pivot line up there that it looks like it's trying to reject from. We were flashing a lower high in that upper power zone. A little bit of bearish divergence there with a higher high on price. That delta is officially above that confirmation line now, so I'm not going to take the short. I'm going to wait for the long. It is bearish divergence though, so we could have a little bit of a pullback here. But we are above the session VWAP. We're above the normal VWAP. We're above the 200. But if you did take that lower high tick down, that bearish divergence, it's right here. We'll see how that one would have done. And again, see, you get the close under the 8. So that entry there on the 8 is great. There's another one. It looks like it just kissed the 8 right there. But those aren't much better than just the candle close that you get by the 8. So I typically only enter on the 8 if I get a close that's like super far away from the 8. I don't really like to buy big candles or enter on big candles. Here's the news. It's 9 o'clock. It's like we're back down there at VWAP. So that lower high in the power zone, the first lower high is usually a pretty good trade. I was thinking about doing it here, but I was trying to be a little more conservative. But it looks like that would have been a great trade. So here's that lower high. The first lower high, as I was saying, after the signals coming from, down here by this lower power zone, the first lower high that you get after that is usually a good trade. That did go, let's see, 34 points so far. And you heard me saying this yesterday about taking signals right before news, right before the open. I kind of look at the open like a news event. And the signals right before news are pretty darn accurate. Like here, it's like the news didn't. This was at 8:57. was the signal. Just a couple minutes before the news. Usually pushes in that direction. It's still kind of, it's psychologically difficult to take those because you feel like the market's just going to go crazy and stop you out. Kind of like what happened to me on the open right here. But we're ticking down on 5 now. We're flashing a tick down under a falling delta. That's pretty bearish on the 5. Well, we'll see if we can get another bounce here on this VWAP and turn this into more of a W. Crude oil inventories at 9:30. And then it's not much else going on. The 5-minute tick down is going to be official in about 35 seconds if it closes this way. It's kind of hard to know the direction here because the delta's right down the middle. But just the fact that we're over session VWAP and the regular VWAP makes me feel like we're more bullish. Higher time frames obviously are more bullish, the hourly and the 15. The 5 minutes actually chopping. Throw our chop box on the 5. Let's see what that looks like on the 5. Well, if we can get above that pivot line and hold above there, we could continue this uptrend. It is looking more like a W pattern now. Back to that pivot line. This new indicator, I was just wondering if there's a way to shut off these the little trailing stop lines, just to kind of clean up the screen a little bit. I'm not really using those. I'm more interested in looking at these little spikes down here. That delta is growing and getting fatter. Good sign for the bulls. We are above that pivot line now. Whoa. She really popped on that one. We are ticking up inside that power zone with that rising, aggressively rising delta. Makes me want to go long, but I prefer if the signal came down a little bit more and then ticked up, something like that. However, this does appear to have a lot of momentum behind it. See delta in conf line hanging out, or hanging in no man's land. Yeah. Right there in the middle of the indicator. And you know, if it's not clear, it's usually better to sit on your hands and just stay out until you have something that's a little more substantial. There's our lower high again in that upper power zone. But the first one is usually the good one, this one right here. The second time that happens, if this delta continues to rise, like it's not, you know, this one here, I would not go short on that. Better off waiting for the long entry. Delta still rising. We were flashing a tick up there. Well, it was looking a little bit better for the bulls, but now we're starting to get under that 8 SMA. Delta's tapering down. It would be really interesting if this whole thing just turned into a big broadening formation. If that's the case, then you could expect to take out this low right here. Looks like that's where we're headed. And if that's the case, looks like this lower high here was actually again, another good short. JWAS took the short. You still in? Oh, you exited for 80 ticks. Nice. All right. It's a good trade. On the RTI, if you notice, this is the first green cloud that printed after this little bit of a downtrend here. I forgot to look at that, but the first time that prints, that coincides with another short signal, it's usually a pretty good trade. Just like it was back here, the first time the red one printed. That was a good trade to the upside. Getting a little bit of a bounce on that session VWAP line. Still no clear direction of whether we're going up or down. The delta is starting to chop here on the 1. Still chopping those EMAs too. Sean Gerant, or Gerant? Am I saying that right? Yes, I'm seeing no direction either. Well, good. At least it's not me. Or not just me. The 5 is bearish. The 15's bullish. The hourly's bullish. The 1 minute is kind of just chopping everything. I don't know yet. It is a strong bounce up, so I am more bullish than I am bearish. JWAS says, look at 4-hour Heikin-Ashi candles for NQ. The trend is up. Yeah, I know overall the trend is up, But what are we doing here on the 1? What's your Heikin-Ashi candle say on the 1? The delta looks so weird on Heikin-Ashi candles. Lots of fat deltas. Well, if you look at all the buying pressure, what you can do is you could take this delta and take the lows of the delta and just line them up and build a trend line off of that. And if the slope is up, you know that the buyers are more in control. Do the same thing with this one and this one. So that's why I'm more bullish than bearish. We're above that confirmation line. Getting a little bit of a bounce on that 8 SMA. Delta is growing. Starting to flash a tick up right above that rising delta. That's probably a decent long. Actually have a limit order down there. Right under the 8. It almost tagged me in right here. I'm right on top of that little consolidation there. But it doesn't look like it's going to get me. Is it going to get me? Oh, it got me. I am long. We barely ticked up on that candle above that rising delta. So hopefully she doesn't decide to fall apart here. It's always a little more risky when you're taking longs in this red zone. But we have everything pointing up, so got a little bit of a bull flag here as well. That does satisfy our bull flag breakout setup from the playbook. Looks like JWAS is back on the elevator up button. That's kind of nice. We want to see more up. More up. Sean, keep pushing that big rock up the hill. Yes. We are going up. It's just more of a grind, huh? All right, stops at break even. And I'm out. It just didn't want to push. Maybe it'll push now, but... So we got a tick down. And looks like we're probably going to close under the delta here. So I don't want to be long when that happens. Unless it can push its way out of here. We just need more movement. Looks like it's just more consolidating right here. Our ATR is dropping a bit. We're back down to like a 44. Now she decides to move. It's a nice candle there. Anybody else jump on that? Don't you hate that when you get stopped out at break even right before she goes? You know, if I get in a trade, I prefer to have it go my direction, at least within the first 3 candles or so. I don't like it to just sit there and hang out where I got in. Back to the top of this potential broadening formation trend line thingy. We'll see if we can get through that. If I hadn't got stopped out, it looks like I would have got 125 ticks out of that one. Excuse me. Well, we have that delta in that upper power zone now. Could go into more of an extended uptrend or sustained uptrend as described in the playbook. Let's see if I can snag a long on the 8. NQ does look pretty strong now, though. That is for sure. Let's see what the 5 looks like. Those delta candles are getting fatter and fatter on the 5. One more candle, we're going to be back above that confirmation line. So for that reason, I'll go ahead and flip this back to neutral. If we get above that confirmation line, I'll flip it to positive. Ooh, I just got tagged in. I had my order sitting here from the 8 before, but the 8 moved up since then, so that's why I'm actually below the 8 right here. At 473. See if it could get back above that 8. Sean Durant. I am Mr. Drawdown Man. Are you in drawdown right now? Are you short? Are you long? Did you get in at the top? Yeah, chasing is never really a good idea. At any time, you can get one big candle down and smoke you. That's why I always prefer to have the price come to me rather than me chase the price. I prefer these types of entries where I can get in on wicks. You got to be patient to do that. which some days I'm not so patient. Like yesterday's a good example. Go ahead and move to break even now. Hopefully it doesn't slam down and tag me out like it did before. We are starting to print a takedown under this falling delta here. That's a delta squeeze short setup, but I don't know, we've been so bullish, you kind of hate to trade against the current. Now if this was flashing negative, I would probably short that. It's not really negative, it's tapering. I went ahead and took profit there just because it's kind of a short setup. So I got 5.5 points out of that. Small winner. JWAS, 5-minute signal tick down would be nice on top of this delta squeeze short. Yeah, the 5-minute delta is pretty strong though. So you kind of hate to trade against that right now. But with the tick down and tapering delta on the 5, yeah, so we just put in a higher low on the signal on the 1. I just went long on the 8. At 481.50. Reason why I did that is because we did get the higher low on the signal, and the delta has been positive this whole time. It's got a negative slope, but the delta itself has been positive. We're sitting on this trend line. You know, this is more of a bull flag setup. However, now I see the delta tape flashing negative, and we're getting our second lower high tick down. Looks like we just tested that 20 EMA. So yeah, it looks like the short might have been where it was at right there. I exited on the close of that candle since we got that lower high. So 8.5 points on that one. We are flashing that tick down on the 5 now. We have a negative delta on the 1. We have a falling delta on the 1. We have 2 tick downs underneath the falling delta. So I'm going to try a short on the 8 and see how that goes. I know we're really bullish here, so it's kind of risky, but all right, it just tagged me in. I'm in at 479.25. But usually if you get 2 lower highs on a falling delta and the delta's negative, that's usually a pretty good short. Chewaz, I nabbed an 80 tick short there. Awesome, dude. You are just hitting them out of the park lately. Got my stop at break even now. Trying to get an idea of where this thing might go. Delta's getting a little thicker to the downside. Those delta candles are thickening up a little bit. Again, that 8 SMA for the win. You see how pinpoint accurate those entries are? The trick is you got to get the signal on the cumulative delta first, then enter on the 8. You got to be patient though. Delta's really thin, so I'm going to start trailing this. I would like to see more downward momentum, but see, it's really thin. It's tapering. We're starting to get our little triangles on this other indicator saying that this is when you get those, it's supposed to be like a little pullback within the trend. You're supposed to enter on those. Signal's still pointed down, so I will wait for a tick up on the signal. JWAS nabbed another 40 tick. Awesome, man. All right, I got my stop just above that candle there. Still trailing these wicks here, so if it breaks that prior wick, I'm going to get stopped out. Hopefully she just keeps pushing down. Uh-oh, sounds like my daughter's up now. I just heard her sneezing. All right, keep pushing. It's gonna do it. My stop is like right here. I mean, it looks like it wants to turn. There we go. Now we're out. All right, we got 8 points out of that one. Not a big winner, but it's a winner. So see, you get these little spikes here. And so what I've been looking at lately is, okay, if I get those and then you get the next tick up, is that a good long? And it looks like in that case, this would have been great. Right there would have been your entry. And I was like messed around with managing my stop and stuff there, so I missed that, but I do like this concept. It does appear to work pretty well. Didn't work so well on that opening trade, but you know, back here seemed to work pretty well. Yeah, like right here, there's your tick up from the power zone, goes up. Right here, you get the signal, wait for the tick up from the power zone, goes up. Same thing here, you get the signal, tick up from the power zone, goes up. Get the signal, tick up from the power zone, goes up. Looks like it works pretty well. This one didn't quite hit that power zone, but still looks like it would have worked. I'm going to go see what my daughter's doing real quick. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Can you guys hear me? So yeah, it looks like that was a pretty good signal right there. I like it. We also have the RTI is all green. Our 5-minute is back to being bullish. Delta is above that confirmation line. And we are in this sustained uptrend on the 15 still. And the hourly. Back to retesting the 8. Back above that trend line too. Might not be a bad spot for a long, as long as the delta can support it. Delta's really thin here, so I don't know. Kind of losing our strength on the 1. The wind is kicking outside. Wow. All of a sudden, just out of nowhere. Looks like the trees are going to fall over. Well, we are getting that tick up on the 1. Go ahead and give it a shot. Kind of a risky area to go long, but hey, we're in this sustained uptrend here, so any tick up should be a good one. 489.25. Taurus Trades, welcome back. Happy Thanksgiving. What made you add the trend analysis and the RTI? Well, I'm kind of just evaluating this trend analysis, so I'm not really using it. I'm just trying to see if it adds anything. So far, I mean, it looks pretty good. The RTI is something that I used to use a lot, and I loved it. And for whatever reason, I just stopped using it. So I decided to just throw it on today just to see if I still love it or not. It's not a bad thing to have on the screen. Well, we're starting to tick down here. This is why I said this area is a little bit risky for a long right there. Because it can turn against you just like that. I feel like we're kind of losing our strength here. So I'm out on that candle. 3.5 points. I typically don't like this tick up where I went long when it's under the delta. So we have a rising delta, and everything else is like sustained, you know, on the hourly, on the 15, on the 5. Well, the 5's not sustained, but 5 is bullish. We did tick up there, which that was probably the main reason why I did that. It's because we did have that tick up on the 5, and usually the subsequent tick up on the 1 is usually a good one. But with the delta thin like this, it can fall apart so easy. And see, now we're starting to turn down. The delta's negative right here. So if the delta's turning negative, the buyers or the aggressive buyers are going away. So you don't want to stay in that trade because it can easily just fall apart on you. There's just not a whole lot going on in the market now. It's 10 o'clock or 10:10 a.m. Central. So can we get some motion back in the ocean? I don't know. Maybe she's done for the day. Probably too early to say that, but we'll hold out a little bit longer and see if we can nab something. Kind of a weird day so far, you know? Like it took a while just to kind of get our bearing to see which direction we were going to head. And then once we kind of started in that direction, it just doesn't have a lot of momentum behind it. It's just kind of a choppy sideways style uptrend. check in on crypto and see what's going on over there. Looks like my Celestia trade's doing pretty good. It's up almost 14%. I got in this one a little bit late, so the entries here, you have the positive sloping delta and the higher low, that green triangle that prints right there. So I have this entry line, so because I noticed that a little too late, I just put a little entry line on there, and so the price came down and tagged me in. As long as this delta stays above that confirmation line, it'll keep me in. So the way that I have my bots set up is, you'll see I have all these conditions on here. Most of them are turned off. But for my take profit condition, I'm looking for a tick down under the conf line. So I basically have two conditions for that. So one checks to see, is the delta above or below the confirmation line? So step one, it has to be below the confirmation line. And step two, we have to get a tick down. So here's an example. I was in this trade here. It was a break-even trade. See how the delta falls under the confirmation line right here? So that's step one. And then this tick down right here, the first time it ticks down after the delta's under the confirmation line, that's where it gets me out. So kept me out through all of this, back in. And the nice thing about that is when you get in these really nice sustained trends. Here, let me find a better example for you. Like Link was a pretty good one. So see, I entered here, and as long as this delta, like, it looks really crazy and nasty here, but as long as this delta stays above that confirmation line, keeps me in. Here we fall underneath, and then there's our tick down under the delta, so I'm out. And sure, it pulled up a little bit more since then, but that's all right. Still got 28, almost 29% on that trade. What was another good one? Litecoin. Here's the entry. And I don't know why that's drug up there. We have the close below the confirmation line, then here's your tick down. So I can't remember if I actually had my take profit turned on here. I think I might have turned it off and got out on one of these other subsequent ones up here. I think that's why that was up here. See, the way that that works is all I have to do is click here, click stop to turn those off if I don't want them to get me out. If I think like we're building a bull flag or, you know, whatever, I can just easily come in here and hit the button, turn them off. And then when I'm back in a trade, come back here, turn them on. And so it's like semi-automated trading. So you still have to know when to turn these on and off, you know, when you want to buy from a power zone, that type of thing. But it will put all those trades on when I'm sleeping, so that's kind of nice. Here's my Aave trade. My Aave, so like here, for example. So see, it bought me in on this higher low on the signal right here. So I'm in there. The delta gets above this confirmation line. Now see, the signal's kind of, you know, it's choppy, but if you wait for the delta to fall under that confirmation line, it keeps you, you know, it acts as more of a filter, so it keeps you in this whole time, which is really nice. And so if it wants to just keep running, it'll keep running. And then, but once that delta falls under and it ticks down, you know, like over here, fell under, tick down. So like it would get you out there. But like this one, it's up almost 23%. Anyway, back to NQ. All right, let's see if this works. We're printing our little green triangles down there. We got the signal down in the power zone. We got a relatively thin delta over here. So let's see if we can get a signal in that lower power zone to tick up somewhere down here. Then we'll go long. I will go long. I have to stop saying we. I don't really expect you guys to copy what I'm doing. I actually would advise against that. Do your own thing. Do your own research. But that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to look for a long. Looks like we're sitting right on the 50 right there. JWAS, got to head out early today. All right, well, if you're still here, we'll see you later. All right, we're going to get that power zone tick up. The market feels really weak, so I don't know. I don't know if we're going to end up ranging here. I mean, technically we are still in an uptrend. It's just kind of a nasty one. So are we going to get that tick up here, or are we going to lose our footing on the 50? Delta is tapering with that tick up in the power zone, so I mean everything looks good. All right, I am long on the close of that candle. 474.50 it looks like. One thing we have going against us here is that the delta did close below that confirmation line, so any tick down while we have this negative momentum, I'm gonna have to exit. But hopefully it doesn't make us do that right here. She's trying to push down a little bit. We didn't officially get our tick down, but we might on this candle. Hi, Ev. What's up? You want breakfast? All right, can you wait a little bit and I'll come in and get you some breakfast? Okay. Okay, well, hold on. I'm in a trade. Well, she is still trying to push down here. We are ticking down. We ticked down. I did not pull the plug. Giving it one more chance here. You know, a lot of these tick downs in the lower power zone, they end up turning into higher lows most of the time. So sometimes it's just better to hold through those. We also have this other indicator signaling that we should be going long there. All right, we're starting to print that higher low, showing a little bit of bullish divergence on there. However, it does appear to be pushing down kind of aggressively. We'll see if it can officially print that higher low on the signal. Got about 10 seconds. It's not a bad spot to add to a position. There we go. There's our higher low. Got a little bit of bullish divergence there. Nice if we could get some follow through back to the upside, but I don't know. It's looking weak. All right, I pulled the plug there. It's just looking weak. We got another lower high tick down. Granted, it is in that power zone, so it could still pop up very easily here. But it's better to be safe. Take the L. Wait for the next setup. It's 8.75 on that one. Put in our second higher low in that lower power zone. Went ahead and jumped back in right there. Figured that would probably happen. Delta is still very thin, so it's under the confirmation line, but it doesn't really have much downward momentum to it. So 2 higher lows in that lower power zone is better than 1. As far as the long goes, usually. She's still trying to push down though, so I don't know. This might be another broadening formation here. If we take out that low right here on this line, looks like we did actually just tap it. So that might have been what it's waiting for. So here, I'm going to use my ray instead with the magnet. Let's get rid of this other one. She's still feeling super weak. You know, that's why I was saying once that delta closes under that confirmation line, that's when you should flip to start looking for shorts. We did just get that tick down there. So we're going to pop up here or keep pushing down? We did take out that liquidity there, though, so that makes me feel a little bit better. Still just dropping, though. And what I should have done is just pulled the plug when we ticked down against me right here. Would have been a loss, but it would have been better than where I'm at right now. Taurus Trades jumping in with you, Tommy. Looking for a long here. Well, good. Glad I got a little bit on my side. You know, I don't really like how it kept pushing and pushing down, though. Makes me kind of wonder if I should just get out at break even here. Delta is starting to turn positive, though. It was flashing positive, so I think I'm going to just hold out and wait for the next tick down. We need more buyers. More buyers stepping in. That Delta's still negative. It's not looking good. We did close above the 8, though, so got to hold above it. You know, long on that 8 is not a bad idea. It does seem to be struggling, though. We are flashing our tick down. So it looks like I'm going to probably be exiting on this candle if we don't start moving up here. Now see, when I was talking about getting out at break even, this is why. because we just weren't seeing the buyers step in. We saw Torres Trades step in, but we need more than Torres Trades in here. All right. I'm pulling it. I'm out. $9.25 on that one. Market's just super weak, man. This is when trading with the trend is not your friend. You know, we're trying to go long here. We've been in an uptrend this whole time. And that just goes to show that trading with the trend is not always your friend. It doesn't always hold true. You know, we lost the 50. The 50 crossed under the 20, so that's why you see the 50 and the 20 lines are red. We're underneath both of those, but we are above the 200. So we do have a chance to bounce here on the 200, but just kind of a ugly day so far. JWAS was doing pretty good, but I could have done better if I took some of these here, but I still was trying to get a bearing on direction. And then once I started trading, we just kind of flattened out. Not much happening now. I hope this isn't a sign of what the rest of December is going to look like. I know December can be a low volume month. Hi. What?
Where's my breakfast?
Oh, yeah. I was going to get you breakfast, wasn't I? Well. All right. Let me take a little bit of a break here. John K says it's a beige book day. It is always splits and sputters on these days. Well, that might explain it. All right, I'm going to go make my daughter breakfast real quick. I will be right back and see if something looks a little bit better here. be right back. I am back. Still just chopping its way down, huh? Yeah, with this falling delta like this and being under the confirmation line, I wouldn't look for longs here, guys. Not yet. We got to get that delta turning back up. When it's grinding like this, if you're trying to take all these little tick ups from the power zone, like that only works if you're like, you know, if it's the first one or two. But you don't want to keep taking them after that. Otherwise, you can get chopped up pretty easy. It's better off to wait for a clearer setup. Now this looks like it might be the first candle where the delta turns positive, which is a positive sign for the bulls, but still kind of risky with the way we've been pushing down. And notice how like we've been chopping the 8 on the way down. It hasn't really stayed on one side or the other. That's usually no fun to trade. Bulls are trying to step back in. Or is this just going to be a pullback within the downtrend? Still, should be looking for shorts as long as that delta is under the confirmation line. See how the confirmation line had a positive slope and then it started to round off and now it's heading down. The RTI knows how it's been pulling back too. It's been in somewhat of a downtrend. Now it's hovering around that midline on the RTI. We are getting a tick down from the red zone. Technically, this 5-minute is bearish now, since the delta is back under the confirmation line. K. John, I have the beige book dates taped on my computer screen. Happens about 8 times a year. Need to make your trades at the open or after 2 p.m. or I would only play pullbacks in your system you use. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the beige book, but thanks for the tip. I'll have to look into that. Just got a tick down up there. I went ahead and trying the short. Wasn't quite in the power zone, but we were tapering. We did get the tick down from the red zone. Delta's under the confirmation line, so we'll see how this one goes. At the same time, we have a little bit of a bull flag looking setup here, so hopefully this is a failed bull flag breakout. Do have a positive sloping delta now, so that is what I have going against me here. On this tick up, if it closes this way, I gotta pull the plug. All right, out here, 3 points. I was thinking about possibly flipping there since that's our bull flag setup. I don't know, I'm just not feeling it though. Let's see if we get another tick down from this power zone. Looks like the bull flag is going to actually play out. I should have probably just flipped there. Since that was a valid setup from the playbook. Well, if we're going to run all the way back up there, if this broadening formation is going to play out, we can expect it to take out this high. We did get that tick down from the upper power zone, so I'm trying the short once more. We did take out this little swing high here. Well, we are ticking up. Is it going to make me pay? Or is it going to tick back down? Come on, come back down. Now we're getting our lower high. Lower high on the signal, that is, not on price. Bulls are fighting. What's up? What? I can't. What do you need? Hold on, guys. All right. Looks like we are putting in another higher low on the signal. You know, these power zones today just aren't as reliable as they normally are. Or they're just taking longer to play out. See if we can put in a second lower high here. The delta is starting to turn back down. Now I'm starting to see a little bit negative on that delta. It's tapering negative. We are printing our second lower high, so come on, bears. Step in there. Will she do it this time? We got our second lower high from the power zone. And the delta is turning over. It's just taking its sweet old time. It is flashing negative again. We also have to keep in mind we still have a little bit of a bull flag setup here that could go against us if the bulls decide to really step in. But the delta right now does not agree with that. The delta is pointed down. Bulls are fighting though. I typically don't like to wait this long for a move to play out. So if we tick up here, I'm going to pull the plug. Giving it one little micro chance here. Not moving. All right, I'm out. Now it's going to do it. Oh, God, I hate that. I hate when it just goes sideways forever when you're in a trade. "11 minutes of not going anywhere." What?
Can I choose my clothes I spilled by accident?
All right, yeah, in a little bit.
If I did, it was juice.
It's okay. Just hold on. There we go, putting in our next little lower high. Looks like I probably should have stuck in there a little longer. It's painful though. It's painful to sit through those. It's like, make your move already. Either stop me out or something. Well, now the question is, do I jump back in on this lower high if we put in another one? I don't know, because the bulls are holding it up here. Yep. No, it's fine. It's fine. Or just go get another shirt.
Right from the shirt
By the laundry.
pile.
Mm-hmm.
In the laundry pile.
Yeah. All right, this is looking more like a bull flag to me, guys. I went long here. I'm in at 477. You know, the Bears had their opportunity to drop it, and they couldn't do it. So can the Bulls pull it back up? It is our bull flag setup out of the playbook, so I was actually on this tick up right here. Technically, could have went long there. keep in mind that, you know, once we get past this high here, I'm still expecting this high to get taken out. And if we make it back up to this trend line, then we're looking at around 35 points, possibly. Sure is taking its sweet old time, though. Lunchtime in New York. It's 11:16 a.m. here in Central Time, Minnesota. All right, if we tick down here from that power zone, I'm going to move my stop to break even. So weak. There's just no direction here. We did get that tick down. We're right at my break even. Oh, good job. Give this retest, this bull flag, one more little chance here. Is it going to fail? I just pulled it at my break even. Market's just too weak. And we have this chop on the delta. It's a thin, spotty delta. That is our signal to walk away, guys. So I think I'm going to call it here, be done for the day, take the L for the day. Just not ideal trading conditions, so maybe something will set up later today. But as of right now, I'm going to go get some lunch and try to get over this nasty little bug that I got. I don't feel all that great today, so. All right, guys, good luck. We will, I guess, I'm not going to stream tomorrow or Friday because I'm out of town, so looks like I will see you. I don't think I'm going to stream Monday either. So probably next Tuesday. Sound good? All right, guys. Good luck.
Oh, wow. Look at that move. It's like one of those big Delta candles. I mean, who even trades those tiny candles anymore? I like big fat candles, I can't deny. When the Delta's green and riding high, when a chart spikes thick with a bullish wick, I'm glued to my screen, that's the trick. I want to bounce quick, can't let it go. Big Delta bars, let that volume show. I'm zooming out, yeah, that's my groove. Catching waves in a Delta move. Wanna trade slow? Nah, too tame. This market's got heat, I'm in the game. Delta skinny? Not my taste. Fat candles on my happy place. Oh, traders, let me see that line. When the buyers push, I feel just fine. It's the fat move, no squeeze fake. I'm in this trend with no break. Got entries stacking tall, no weak signals, I'm all in, y'all. Skinny candles just ain't for me. Big Delta's not golden key. Sitting Sitting tight while volume pops. Green wave up won't make me stop. Short candles, nope, they're bored. Give me fat deltas, I want more. Like those thick moves, yeah, yeah. I wanna break through, you know. Then hold, then play, don't you fold. Big deltas fill the chart with might. Skinny moves don't make it right. Big fat candles, can't deny when the volume surges up so high. Skinny trades can take a seat. Big fat deltas are what I beat. Well, traders low, let me see that life is cause of my happy delta. Skinny, not my taste. Fat candles are my happy place. Oh, traders, let me see that line. When the buyers push, I feel just fine. It's the fat move, no squeeze fake. I'm in this trend with no break. Got entries, stacking tall. No weak signals, I'm all in, y'all. Skinny candles just ain't for me. Big delta's my golden key. Big delta's my golden key. Sitting tight while volume pops. Green wave up won't make me stop. Short candles, nope, they're bored. Give me fat deltas, I want more. Like those thick moves, yeah, yeah. I wanna break through, you know. Then hold and play, don't you fold. Big deltas fill the chart with might. Skinny moves don't make it right. Like those thick moves, yeah, yeah. I wanna break through, you know. Then hold, then play, don't you fold. Big deltas fill the chart with might.